Bluebell line runs from Sheffield Park to Horsted Keynes. It's part of the railway line from East Grinstead to Culver Junction, which was opened in 1882. In June 1955, the Transport Commission, as part of its economy drive, decided to close the line completely. There then appeared on the scene a fighting character and local resident, Miss Bessel. She dug out the Act of Parliament, which stated that at least 4 trains had to be run daily. As a result, the Transport Commission were compelled in August 1956 to reopen the line with the minimum service required by the Act. Traffic, however, was very light and losses heavy, with the result that after a meeting held in public at Lewes, the Minister of Transport was advised to authorise the closure of the line. But it was not to die, and now appear on the scene 3 young students, all railway enthusiasts, and they decided to pick up where Miss Bessemer left off. So began the great Bluebell movement to preserve the puffer for posterity. Up until today, a lot of people must have thought this entire scheme was, well, just a little bit mad. But today, it really looks as if it's going to come to something, because the Bluebell line have just taken delivery of their first engine. She's a Terrier-class engine. She was built between 1872 and 1880, and she was originally called the Stepney. She was bought from British Railways at a cost of £750, and I'm just going to go on a trip with her.
The Minister of Transport's inspecting officer has already visited the line and was satisfied that the amateurs knew what they were up to. There will be a further inspection early in June when the engine and coaches will be scrutinized. Only if you meet the members of this society can you begin to foresee the love and care that will be lavished on this little old engine before the inspector arrives. If this devotion to puffers is unbalanced, it's a bias that affects the most diverse people: bookies and bank managers, schoolboys, nursemaids, and retired admirals. Mr. John le Roi, a businessman from Tunbridge Wells, is chairman of the Bluebell Society.
You've got your engine, but what I want to know is, how did you get this stretch of line?
Well, it's quite a long story, really. The line was closed down by British Railways, and sometime after it had been closed, they formed a society to preserve this part of the line. And we asked British Railways how much they wanted for it, and originally it started off at about 75,000. Well, we tried the football pools and didn't come up, so we eventually got it down to £34,000 for the piece of line from just outside Horsted Keynes to and including Sheffield Park. And the value of the £34,000 is almost wholly in the track. It's in the steel in the rails. Well, eventually British Railways agreed to give us a lease.
How much are you paying for this lease?
£2,250.
Now, you've got to find £2,200 a year. How are you going to find that?
Well, we find it from our guarantors, and we also find it from the half-crowns that we're going to charge for a ride down the Bluebell line.
Do you think this is going to be a paying proposition?
It won't be a commercially paying proposition, but ends will meet. We have been into it very carefully with accountants in London, and they have proved that if we have to pay for everything, we shall make ends meet.
Thanks very much for the trip. How did you start driving railway engines?
Well, I've been interested in steam engines and steam cars ever since I was a boy. I've had considerable experience in driving them. I've never been employed by a railway company, of course. It's only on an amateur, enthusiastic basis.
What sort of condition was this one in when you got it?
It's in very good condition indeed. It's been through the locomotive shops at Eastleigh, and they have turned it out in first-class order, and we're very grateful to them.
Sheffield Park Station compares a little with the cartoons of Emmett, the engine, the architecture, and the spidery Victorian bric-a-brac. Captain P.F. Manist's job as publicity officer is to attract the people and the pennies.
What makes you and people like you spend so much time trying to preserve old railway engines?
Well, I think it's because we always had a terrific interest in trains, and it wasn't our profession, so we seek this outlet. in order to enjoy the things we love.
Well, seeing that you've got such a passion for railway engines, why didn't you make the railways your career?
And I think early on, and when I was a youngster, it wasn't quite the career that people sometimes wanted to do. It certainly wasn't the career my father wanted for me. He wanted me to go into the Navy, so I went into the Navy. But I'd always had a longing to be in railways.
You mean that when you were young, the railways weren't quite nice?
I think that's probably correct, yes.
And don't you think that a lot of people might think that all this was just a little bit cranky?
I think some people do, but it's people, of course, who have no interest in railways. And I think especially a lot of women, and there are very few women who can understand why men should love trains. But the plain fact is that many of them do, as can be seen by the 1,000 members we already have, without even a train running.